So the pivotal trial that led to the approval of Idelalisib was a trial that was led by my good friend and colleague Jake Gopal and published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2014. That was a study that looked at a multi-institutional trial of the single agent PI3 kinase inhibitor Idelalisib given as a single arm in that trial. In that trial that was administered to patients with relapsed and refractory follicular lymphoma, where those patients had relapse both after rituximab and after typically cyclophosphamide as the other agent, that those were patients who moved on to receive this PI3 kinase inhibitor in that setting. In this relapsed and refractory population, we saw an overall response rate for patients above 40%, with a duration of response that was quite meaningful for this population of more than a year for the majority of those patients. When we think about the adverse events that are associated with Idelalisib, those tend to be adverse events that are associated both with the acute administration of the drug and adverse events that are related to inflammatory toxicities or activation of T cells in particular. So some of those acute events can be a form of diarrhea that typically is acute while the drug is being administered. That's one that typically happens relatively shortly after the administration of the drug and typically goes away if you stop the drug, and then if you restart the drug, does not recur. Along those same lines, patients can sometimes experience nausea or fatigue associated with the administration of the drug. The later kinds of toxicities that we also worry about are later toxicities associated with inflammatory toxicities, the so-called itises associated with Idelalisib or the other PI3 kinase inhibitors. There we can see transaminitis or elevation of the liver function tests. Those also typically go away if you stop the drug, and if you restart at a lower dose, often do not recur. There is a second kind of diarrhea that's inflammatory diarrhea that typically occurs later. That's a kind of diarrhea that if you stop the drug and restart it, will recur or won't go away. That often requires the use of steroids and may require discontinuation of the drug if the diarrhea continues over time. Likewise, you can also see pneumonitis associated with the use of